looking for something. A new way, a new understanding, a connection, some comfort. You've got questions, and Light on Living puts the spotlight on all the answers so you can shine. Lift and lighten the load of life's challenges and learn simple and easy ways to live a healthy, happy life. You'll gain insight and start to see things in a new way that motivates you. You're invited to hear new, see different, and feel more as Lisa shines the light on living.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Light on Living. I'm Light Coach Lisa, holistic nutritionist and life coach, helping to lighten the load of life's challenges. Each show, we shine a spotlight on helpful techniques, mindsets, lifestyles, and inspiring stories to help you get through, not over life's challenges. Make believe made possible. When we stop daydreaming, when we stop imagining, when we stop having fun and playing with our hearts and minds, we truly stop creating and manifesting. So whether it's from a psychological block of I can't, I'm afraid, I'm not enough, it's too hard, to physical barriers of lack of internal and external support, as well as lack of focus and commitment. These are big ones. Today's show is going to remind us how to be curious. It's going to highlight what and who supports us in dreaming and where to find and reach out for help to realign what may have gotten off track. Today's show is about transformation, manifestation, and creation, from playing make-believe to living a life made possible. I've invited a dear friend, Carl Stedman, to co-host today's show, as he really is a leader in creating one's own life, as well as a super, super, super duper strong believer in making anything possible, especially with love. Thank you, Carl, for sharing today's discussion.
Oh, hi, Lisa. Thank you. Thank you for inviting me. It's a pleasure to be here.
Because you've been with us before once with Eric Lampier when you were talking about your song, but I knew that you were the guy to talk about creating your own reality.
I love it. I love it, Lisa. Yeah, that's what it's all about, creating your own life with happiness and joy.
Yes, and speaking of that word, this word, I've been really thinking about it all morning. The word reality. You know, people say, oh, you got to create your own reality, or what's your reality, or that's not reality. That word, I want to ask you what you think of that word. Like, if you were to try to tell somebody what reality is, like when you say you got to create your own reality, what do you think about that word? What is that to you?
I think basically we all make our own reality, and we're all in our own little world in a way, you know, because I think a state of consciousness that you're in, the world reflects like a mirror to how you are, how you're feeling. So I think if you're feeling in a great place, you see the world as a great place. I've experienced that myself, you know. Years ago, I went through a really hard time and I wasn't feeling good, and the world was like a nightmare to me. But I've since realized that when you are in a good place yourself, the world seems to reflect that back to you.
Oh, gosh, that's beautiful. You know what? In my mind, I only came up with the word of perception. I like yours way better. I like the mirror reflecting back. And you know, I love what you just said. It's not that the actual world itself changes. Like nothing outside of you changes. It's inside of you that changes. And that's what I like how you define that as the mirror reflecting reality, because when I was thinking about this whole concept of make-believe made possible, it's kind of, I'm thinking about it now as make-believe is what we feel inside, you know, what we're thinking and wanting and desiring or just experiencing, or it could even be a nightmare. And then made possible is the reflection back in your mirror analogy.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think as young kids, I remember I used to be a daydreamer, and I was quite regularly slapped on the hand with a ruler by the teacher for not concentrating on a class that I wasn't interested in at all. because I wasn't interested in the Battle of Hastings in 1066, things like that. I give history up at the age of 10. And of course, there are a lot of good things in history too that we can look and think we can make a difference in the world. But as a little kid, I used to daydream a lot, and kids naturally do it because kids are closer to that source. And daydreaming is basically, it's coming from within you. It's not really a mind thing. It's a heart and soul thing. And when you daydream and you focus constantly on that, it's coming from such a deep, beautiful, pure, joyful level. That, I believe, is the way we manifest.
You know what? And it's effortless. I love that you said it's more of a daydream. It's not that it's just something that it's timeless. You get lost, like what you're saying. You just get lost daydreaming about things. And then it's not that you're thinking of it. It's that it's just coming through you.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
I like that. That's why I like the word curiosity. Because a lot of us, if we're so focused on the quote-unquote reality that we're forced by our own beliefs, kind of like our own lifestyle, but we forget to be curious. Like, what would my life be like? How would I feel? What is it I enjoy? Like all those questions they're curiosity questions. And I think that the biggest things, like I said in the beginning, what stops us from being curious or daydreaming are fears and doubts that we're going to judge ourselves, or we're not safe. We're not safe enough, or that other people won't, or that, all those things that show up. What allowed you to continue to daydream during that nightmare of your time, of your life?
For me, it was a very, very strong foundation of faith. I've always known or believed that there was a God. But I never believed in a God up there separate from me. I always felt connected. Even at my darkest hour, I always felt connected to that divine energy. And that always really kept me going, really, because at one point I was close to suicide, and but it was purely because I had that connection to that divine energy that's in me and in all of us, And I think that's what really kept me going, and still does to this day, because I truly know I am connected to that essence, as we all are, and to truly feel connected to that. I think that...
Where do you feel connection? Where is it you feel it? Is it like, we talk about essence and a knowing. Where is that?
I just... In my whole being, really, I can't say, I know we talk about going into the heart. I just feel it throughout my body. And I think in such a busy world, because most people are so busy, and it's the way life has sort of been set up, because just for us to survive in a way, most people are so busy running to the work, and then if you've got children, you've got to come home and feed the children, and you're worried about your bills, and it's not such a simple thing, although it is, although we can, to be still, to connect to the essence of who we are, because to me, that's what meditation is to be still and connect to the energy of who you are. And we can do it on a regular basis, We can do it as we go up doing whatever we're doing. We can stay connected to that awareness, to be self-aware. And there's a simple thing that we can do is throughout the day, just take 3 conscious breaths. Because when you're breathing, it stops thought. When you're thinking about your breathing, you're not thinking of anything else. And you can stay connected to the moment, to the now. Because a lot of us are out of the now. We're always trying to get somewhere, And I think that the more we can practice that, I think, Well,
here's a fun question then, because being connected to, this is going to be a great for conversation. I was just thinking this, being in the now, it doesn't mean we can't still daydream. Daydream doesn't always mean the future. And something that I was just having this conversation with a good friend of mine. Her name is Lisa too, actually. And we were having a chit chat. And there are some people who are very, very busy doers. Like, they get so much done because they're physical and running around and they're accomplishing and doing. And I daydream a lot. Now, I'll call it daydream, but really what I'm doing, I'm in my brain, in my mind, in my heart, I'm putting all this energy, my doing, my being in this now. I'm creating it in my mind, in my belief system, in my I believe that is my daydream. And that's how I manifest, because I feel like I've done all this work in my head of putting the pieces together and the support systems together and my belief that that's my reality. And then when I do go to do the physical doing of it, it just goes, and it's done so fast. But meanwhile, I know that I've been in my head and mind for, let's say, a week even, every day, just piecing it together. And then all of a sudden, so it might look like I've manifested it rather quickly, but really it's been, so when we talk about being in the now and blending it with daydreaming, I know we can't put a time on it, but what do you think?
That's very interesting that you should say that, Lisa. That's really interesting, because you're in the now, but also you're daydreaming of a possible future event of what you're going to do maybe next week, right? But I think that it's done with a different frequency, because it's not a stressful thing. Oh, I've got the bills, I've got the rent to pay next month. It's not done in that energy, right? So you're sending out a different frequency to the universe, if that makes sense.
Yes. Would you say that frequency is aligned with a belief? What a great question. We're going to go to commercial, but I really am excited to hear your thought on that when we come back.
Sounds good.
The best of the holistic, spiritual, and conscious world. OMTimes Radio, IOM FM.
Humanity Healing International is a small nonprofit with a big dream. Since 2007, HHI has been working tirelessly to bring help to communities with little or no hope. Our projects are not broad mandates, nor are they overnight solutions, but they bring the reassurance that no one is alone and that someone cares. To learn more, please visit humanityhealing.org. Humanity Healing is where your heart is.
My name is Victor Furman. Some call me The Voice. I've always been fascinated with human nature, spirituality, science, and the crossroads at which they meet. Join me Wednesdays at 8 p.m. Eastern on OMTimes Radio, and we'll explore these topics and so much more on Destination Unlimited.
Welcome back to The Cat Show. Up next, we have Nico. Nico is a member of the Shelter Pet Group.
That's right. A group known especially for their sunspot sleeping, ball chasing, leg rubbing, and of course, companionship. Just look how she struts.
It's like she owns the place.
And see how she curls up and cuddles her person.
The pitch on her purring is simply perfect.
Nice one.
Fantastic cat. But really the best way to know an amazing shelter pet like Nico is to meet one.
Visit theshelterpetproject.org today. Adopt.
Brought to you by Maddie's Fund, the Humane Society of the United States, and the Ad Council.
All right, Carl. We left off with a fun question. I think it's kind of neat, and I have a story to go with it. But the question was, I want to see, when we're talking about the word frequency and what that means, do you believe that it's aligned with a belief? Like, to be able to put out a frequency or send with it, do you have to have a belief of that?
I think everything is vibration, and I think that your vibration really, I think, depends on your whole lifestyle and your own belief system. So if your beliefs are negative, I think Henry Ford said, whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. You're going to get what you truly do believe. So the vibration that you're sending out into the world is going to come back to you. So I don't think it's a belief. I think it's an actual vibration, because David Hawkins wrote a book, Power versus Force, and it literally, scientifically, it's been proven that like hate or jealousy or revenge is a very low vibration. But as you go up the scale to love and compassion, and which is a higher vibration, so naturally you don't really need to believe that. You're going to get that in return. So if you're constantly caring and loving, and you're living in that vibration and that world, that's what's going to come back to you. That's going to be reflected back to you from the universe. And that's sorry, Elise, go on.
Oh, no. With the word vibration and with all the frequencies, kind of neat. Here's a neat story, and this involves you too, so it's fun. So just to share with all the listeners, Carl has just recently asked me to join his band, which is called Frequency, and this is the best part of the story, is that I used to be in the church choir when I was a little girl. My mom put me in there because I spoke French, and she wanted me to learn to speak English, and she thought it would be really fun to put me all of a sudden into a choir, which I did not know how to read English, so it was like I had to learn how to sing and read English all at the same time. I was really angry with her for that, but I'm happy for it now. So it has been decades since I've sung in a choir, but I was just feeling the need. I was brushing my teeth, and I all of a sudden, after I finished, I thought, I feel like I should join a choir again. And I was surprised at that thought. I really was like, where did that come from? And then, Carl, the very next day, it was the very next day, I'd had not a dream, but I kept hearing music in the house, and I kept thinking there's music in my house. And the very next day, then, Carl, you said, why don't you just come listen to the band? Just come listen. You don't have to sing or do anything. And then before I knew it, the frequency that I was believing in, that I was aligned with, that I was vibrating at, that I wanted. Clearly, there was a desire from me, within me somewhere, that my soul wanted to sing. And so when I went, I got to hear you guys. And I remember, you don't even have to sing, you said. And here I was on a mic, and we're singing away. And then we did a show. And
I said you didn't need to sing, Lisa, but we did put a mic right in front of you, just in case you got excited, which you did.
And you know what's really neat about that? I spoke about internal and external support. Now, sometimes we may think, nobody's going to support me in this dream, I daydream, or I don't support myself in this daydream. But if we can get on that frequency that says yes to the daydream, external support will show up. And if we can at least recognize it with an open heart, with that high frequency, the higher vibration, then I do believe that's how the manifestation occurs. And if you could share, how did you come up with this whole, what is your mission with the band Frequency? Share us all of that good stuff.
Well, basically what it is, Lisa, and for the audience listening, if probably a lot of them don't know my story, but if they go onto YouTube, they can find out my story, how I started singing in 2005. I literally had a mystical experience, and I had a shift in consciousness. And but if you go onto YouTube, they can find interviews about that as well. But what happened was I've recorded a couple of albums now, and but I've never been in a band, because I started writing songs, and the fabulous Dan Clancy from the band Lighthouse took me under his wing, and we recorded the first album. Then I'd done the second album, which is fabulous, with Peter Nelson. It's a children's CD. But I still never played with a band. So about 4 months ago, I literally said to a couple of friends, And I want a band. And that's it. I'm not going to sing to backing tracks. I want a band. So the very next day I got an email from a friend an acquaintance actually, who a couple of times had been to my shows. He got an acoustic guitar and he strummed along with my backing track of my own songs, from the CD. And he said to me, Carl, I think we should do weddings. It'd be great if we get together. Okay, so we met. We met for 2 Sundays, and on the third Sunday, he said to me, Carl, I've got to tell you something. I know this incredible band. They need a lead singer. Are you interested? Absolutely, of course, So I went down and I done a rehearsal with them, and they said, you're in. So I became the lead singer of the band, and that was how it happened. But it's a big thing for me is too, and I spoke to you about this the other day, Lisa, is I love singing more than anything else. So when I'm singing, I'm really in joy. I think when you're in joy, you're sending that vibration out anyway, and you're manifesting from that joy, from that inspiration. And I sometimes, when I do sing, I imagine me singing in a place where there's like 20,000 people and they're all joy-filled. I'm singing inspirational songs about who we are and what's possible and how we can make the world a better place. So I think when you're sending them vibrations out there, that's going to come back to you.
Mm-hmm. And I love how it's a 2-part here. So you love singing, and you were able to create and manifest and attract this band. And then I love to be around joyful people and share a message. And the most important thing to me is I love asking questions. I love hearing stories, and I love how those stories are inspiring. And so I, in my own way, manifested and created you who did your part. So if everybody's doing their part, we never know who's out there working on our team. Like you're on my team, I'm on your team. Yes. And that's, I think, what you're saying about. So is that why you call the band Frequency?
Yes, because my intention and our intention is to send out a frequency into the world of joy and peace and tranquility, because as we know, there's some of the things that's happening in the world, and yet we're all connected. I'd just like to share something with you, Lisa. It's a very beautiful spiritual and scientific saying, and it is, consciousness is asleep in the rock. Consciousness dreams in the plant. Consciousness awakens in the animal, and consciousness becomes self-aware potentially in the human. So the human being is the only living thing that is self-aware. An animal lives in the moment because it doesn't have the mind to worry about the bills or things like this. So they just live in the moment. You only have to look at a dog and it wags its tail, as we know, and they're living there. But the human being is self-aware, but we can become self-aware. And to become self-aware of consciousness or the divine energy or God. The word God has been misused by a lot of people, and there's been a lot of wars fought over God. But as we know, that divine energy or consciousness, whatever you want to call it, it flows through all of life. And consciousness within the animal just wants to bring joy and happiness, and you see it in the animals. But the human being, because we have our mind, and the mind is the thing that causes most of our problems, if not all of our problems, is done by thinking a lot of it negatively. But if you understand, if you're happy, absolutely. Well, we only have to look at the news. It seems to be that negative news sells, and I say to all my family and friends, don't watch it. Don't watch the negative news. You don't need. You're going to find out what's happening anyway, big in the world. But don't let it, because as we know, and Bruce Lipton, an incredible biologist, has proven these things, and Joe Dispenza, and we have so much wisdom on the internet that we can tap into that you don't see on regular TV. And when we know the way our body works and the billions of cells are changing constantly through what's coming in to our environment, we can start to choose positiveness. And then
what's funny is
can flow through us.
a little fun story to support this is my sister just moved in with me yesterday, and with her came a guinea pig, a frog, and a fish. So that was exciting for me. And all the listeners know that I have the 2 cats, and they're like the babies. They're the family here. So I used to have a bunny rabbit, Ollie, and he passed a year ago. So I was very excited to have, Cloud, this white little beautiful guinea pig, come over, and she does her little spikes. And so this morning I forgot that she was here. It was the first night, and I heard this noise, and I thought, oh, what is that? And so I ran over to her to say hello. And as you just even reminded us, that animals live in the moment. And so I sat with her and I listened to her and I gave her a little bit of fresh cilantro. She was so happy. And I thought, this is the beauty of it. The only thing she would fear at any given moment would be if her life was in danger. Is there a predator? Is she going to be eaten? You're right. She's not thinking of the bill. She's not thinking, well, she might be thinking where her next food is, but she's probably not, because she's going to find it somewhere. So you're right. Our minds kick in because we are self-aware, and then we could either choose this way or that way. And the this way could be, I cannot do this. I'm afraid. I'm scared. What if? And it's not even just what if in our own mind. It's what if what if the world, what if? So there's so many of these things. But then, as you're saying, if we can go to that pure love and just in the now with the breaths, opening the heart and putting it in ourselves, in our frequency and our beliefs, that we can have that. I want to talk about grounded vision when we do come back. So I know we're going to go to commercial in a minute, but when I'm just thinking about, we can either go this way or that way. I can't or I can. And what you said about, if you can or you can't, that's what you're right. But if we were to talk about that grounded vision, we can start. If we go into commercial, we'll talk about it when we come back. But if I were to say to you, how do we ground our vision? What does that mean to you? How can you help us with that?
How do we ground our vision?
So the vision's way up in the sky. You're daydreaming. It's all up in there. There we go. So I knew that commercial. So when we come back, we're going to talk about grounding our vision.
Okay.
The best of holistic, spiritual, and conscious world. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM.
Ascending Hearts is no ordinary dating site, but a spiritual dating site with a purpose, to link you with your soulmate. We engineer the serendipity so you can trust that you will attune with someone that has the same matching vibration as you. Ascending Hearts, the conscious dating site for the spiritually aware. Try Ascending Hearts for free. AscendingHearts.com.
Grab a cup of tea or a glass of wine and tune in for Inspired Conversations with publisher Linda Joy on Tuesdays at 2 p.m. Eastern. Linda creates sacred space for leading female luminaries, empowering authors, heart-centered female entrepreneurs, coaches, and healers. A soulful venue where guests openly share the fears and obstacles they've overcome, wisdom and lessons learned, and the personal journey that led them to the transformational work they do in the world. Inspired Conversations to empower you on your path to authentic, soulful living.
So I'm a cat, and I just moved in with this new human, and she's got this little toy she's always playing with, all day long. Tap, 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 bloop, bloop. She can't put it down. There it is. Oh, and get this. She even talks to it. Last week she asked it for Chinese, and guess what? Egg rolls showed up. Like magic. Humans have cool toys.
A person is the best thing to happen to a shelter pet. Be that person. Adopt. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the ShelterPetProject.org.
And we're back talking with Carl Steadman of the beauty of Make-Believe Made Possible. And as Carl, you mentioned earlier, you do have some YouTube videos I want to direct people to. So if you're looking at how to spell your name, it's C-A-R-L, that's Carl, Stedman, Stedmond, and you have some terrific interviews that might help some people out. And I wanted to rephrase my question about the grounded vision. The reason why I wanted to ask you that, Carl, is because I know a lot of the times I have shiny object syndrome for sure. I want to do so much, and I see so much, and I daydream about so much, and I really believe I can do it all. However, there's a way that I, in turn, have to ground my vision so that I actually do create it and manifest it in my reality on a physical level. So I wondered from you, because you have huge dreams too, you have beautiful visions. How is it that you're able to ground that vision and could help other people with that as well?
I remember hearing a question many, many years ago that if you had everything, you had all the money in the world, what would you still truly love to do? What's calling you? What's stirring your heart and soul? The main thing. And I've been doing martial arts nearly all my life because I've seen Bruce Lee like 45 years ago. And I've been teaching about clubs. But the one thing that's always stayed in my heart was singing. And I was surrounded by people, and I'm sure a lot of people have gone through this. It seems to be people who are closest to us, quite often, not all the time, because I've seen people, or singers or actors who've made it, and they've had great support from family and friends. But a lot of us don't get that because most people don't believe that you could do that because maybe they don't think they can do that, right? So I sort of never became a singer when I was younger. It's only when I'm teaching children all the time to go for your dreams, you can achieve this, So I started to go for mine. And it was around the time when I started to understand about the law of attraction. And the more I delved into that, and the more I delved into quantum physics to find out how reality truly works, and I spent time, I thought, oh my God. And one day it just clicked. And I love to sing, so that's all I do. I sing every single day. I make sure I sing for at least 1 hour every day. And I say to people, if you truly want to really have a dream, do it every day and don't listen to anyone who says that you can't. Just do that. Make that be your grounding. Sing or paint or wherever you truly want to do. Because that is your heart, that is your soul. That's saying, this is what I want, this is what... You follow it and dormant forces will arise within you greater than you ever thought possible, and things will start to happen, and your life will become miraculous.
Oh, I love that word, miraculous. Oh, I'm so glad you brought that up. And you know what? Miraculous almost sounds like it's my miracle, like a big giant M in there. Carl, yesterday you shared a really neat thing with me about gold medalists and athletes. Share with us and about vision. Share that what you heard, what you learned there.
Yeah, nearly every gold medalist in the Olympics has always, from the time they started to get into running or whatever they were doing, they always picture themselves on that podium with someone wrapping that gold medal around their neck. They've all had that visualization and that intention. Even they didn't know anything about the law of attraction. I mean, the law of attraction has only been out, about 15 years? The evidence of how it works. But these people have been doing it, and they didn't know how they were doing it. They just done it naturally. They visualize the heart. Oh, my God, imagine me standing on that podium. And many actors, there was a great thing on the law of attraction, and actors and all the top celebrities like Denzel Washington, and so many of them done the same thing, And if we can get into that space of inspired intention with love and from that deep essence from within, the universe will help you.
Yeah. I love that we never know the how. But having a vision is so key. And here's a grounded reality story to share on that point. Is I'm coming up to my 40th birthday this year, and I really loved my car. Like, I've loved my car. She's like everything. She's my home to me, my comfort, my wheel. She's everything. And I kind of knew, and I could see myself, I visualized that I would get a new car this year. This would be the year. Now, I kept putting it there, but I didn't know how I was going to get the new car. And so a week ago, I got rear-ended in this big accident, and I don't have her anymore, so I'm definitely getting I have to get a new car, but it's so funny. This is the grounded humor part to this, that we can visualize something, but we don't know how it's going to happen. It could be nothing in our control, but it is. Yes, isn't that so neat? So I actually did think of it the emotions kicked in later. I was like, oh no, my baby, she got destroyed. But I did have to find the beautiful gift and the humor in, see, I said I wanted something, I visualized it, and voila, somehow it happened.
Yeah, absolutely, Lisa. And I always say, don't have any expectations the way it's going to come. It could be far greater than what you ever think. And I think an important thing too is to take, and now this might sound, it's probably quite deep. The Buddhists say, know me, no problems. Okay? So if you take your personal self out the way of, like, Carl Steadman's going to be this, but if you take that away from the equation and let the universe, God, create through you without your mindset stopping it, our limited mindset of this is how it's going to be done, and just go with the flow, and just things open up that you would never dream possible. And I think that's a really important thing for people to understand, to take our ego out. And I think that's where the law of attraction, just one little bit that it didn't mention, it didn't really mention God or the divine energy. So it became, I want this car and I want this house. Yes, then things are possible. But I think the greatest manifestations that we can be doing is making a difference. And when you make a difference for one person, it's reflecting back to you. So the more people you help, that energy is going to come back to you tenfold. I truly believe in that.
Yeah. You
have
said
gratitude
earlier
for everything.
A story with Tony and Sylvester Stallone.
Oh, a fabulous story. Sylvester Stallone's life, Lisa, it was quite amazing. He was born with high forceps, and so he had a speech impediment, and he always had this dream deep inside him to be an actor. And so he tried to, go forward, and he was, again, it's a great thing on YouTube that people can check it out, and he was told hundreds of times. He'd go to many casting agencies, and he had this, this slur, and he said, there's no way, I'm never going to be an actor, never, whatever, it's never going to happen. So he was penniless, living with his brother in New York. He wrote Rocky, and he was offered, I think, a first $50,000. He wouldn't accept it. He was offered $350,000 when he was penniless, and he said, I'm not going to sell this script unless I play Rocky Balboa. He stuck to it. He knew it was going to happen. He had faith in his heart, and the rest is history. And he went against all the odds,
Because you know what? And it goes to what you had said earlier. If you had all the money in the world, what would you still want to do? So here's Stallone. If he's saying, I could have, then I would not be penniless. I would have $350,000, which at that time seemed like all the money in the world, but he wouldn't have
it was a lot of money
to act. Oh, I love that story. Oh, no, I'm going to have to watch that interview as well. And
Tony Robbins interviews him. It's a fabulous interview. Yeah.
Okay, so that's what they can look up if they want to do that.
Another thing, Lisa, is important to mention is he done it. One of his main reasons to do it was to show everyone what is possible. His inspiration was to inspire others to what can be accomplished. Which is, so the universe is going to have his back for that, right?
Yes, that's right. That's a great partner he chose, the universe. And that's actually, they say that when not everybody, but those who are conscious and want to go this route. But when they are given an opportunity to go into business and they're going to make a lot of money, that's you can feel it, that when you are attaching it to a greater purpose, to a mission, to be of service or to inspire or to change, that opportunity in that business or career is actually even it's expanded. It's even more. You're more driven. You're more motivated because you can feel just all of that excitement and energy building up and bubbling up because it's for so much more.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, I go back to what Jesus said. I'm not talking about the religious Jesus. Jesus was an incredible, enlightened, beautiful being, and he said, this and more you can do also. So when he done something great, like when he done miracles or maybe Reiki or whatever it was, and he said, this and more you can do also. Have I not told you? You are gods, and the kingdom of heaven is within. So Jesus was talking about this 2,000 years ago. Today we have quantum scientists and physicists and Deepak Chopra, and we have so much evidence now. So 2,000 years ago, trying to explain that would be quite hard, but I think there's so many more people having a shift in consciousness now and understanding the essence of who they are, and that the kingdom is within, that the divine energy is within, and we're all connected. The universe is connected, and the universe is intelligence. And when you tap into that with love and compassion, it's going to flow through you, and it's going to change your life, and it's going to help you create your greatest dreams. And
the key here too is
magical.
Is the universe. Magical. It is, and the thing is, the universe is cooperative, not against you. And I think before we go to commercial here, is that when we come back, I want to just remind people of how to do this, like to stop themselves from getting caught up in that the world is against me. I just have to get through this. I just have to pay those bills. I just have to get this title to prove to my family and friends that I'm worthy, or to myself. And when we do come back, I want to talk about just to really remind people how to daydream, how to have that and make it possible.
Lovely, Lisa, lovely.
Connecting you with the best of the conscious minds in the world. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM. Host your show on IOM FM, the radio network of OMTimes Media, one of the more recognized brand names in the conscious community, and is backed by the extensive marketing reach of OMTimes. Hosting a show on IOM FM immediately connects you with our extensive dedicated community.
Tune in to The Practical Intuitive, Mind, Body, Spirit for the Real World with me, host Robin Fritz, Mondays at 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 Eastern. I'll cover personal and business intuition, animal communication, mediumship, space clearing, past life regression, shamanic insights, energy healing, soul choice, and more, all to help you tap your own intuitive and healing skills. No ifs, ands, or buts.
Me, a cat, moving in with a new human. It took a little getting used to. She has these weird games she likes to play, like this giant feather. She sticks it in my face. I swat it away. She sticks it in my face. I swat it away. It's almost like she thinks I enjoy it. But seeing how much fun she gets out of it, well, I guess it makes it all worth it. Humans.
A person is the best thing to happen to a shelter pet. Be that person. Adopt. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the ShelterPetProject.org.
And we're back, Carl. We're talking about make believe, made possible. And before I go into, I want to. This is a fun one. I bet you were just going to have magical things happen right after this, anyways. But I was just thinking how a lot of people have, come to me, whether they're my clients or my friends, or I just hear them in general, and they're saying, I don't know how to daydream, or I don't daydream, or that's silly. I don't want this. And the thought that came up to me was, I believe that self-preservation can be harmful at times when we go to such an extreme that we don't open up our minds and hearts to connect anymore. And with the self-preservation in mind, if you were going to let somebody know that it's safe to daydream, to go about this, what are the first things that you would maybe say to them to support them let's bust through some myths that people would have that's stopping them from daydreaming?
I think that probably a big one is surround yourself with positive people who aren't going to encourage you and not try and put you down, because that can happen quite a lot.
How does one get away from the people who aren't then? What if their spouse? What if their parent? What if their school teacher or something? And they can't get away from them. How would we, let's see here. How do we surround them with love if they are forced to be around people who are very difficult and negative? Can you just load up on the people that we can and we open our balances?
Yeah, that's a tough one, Lisa, because for me personally, and I can only speak about me and my life, I won't be around people who are negative and put me down. I choose to feel to be around people who are positive, and I have consciously had that intention over the last 5 years of my life, and it's worked wonders. So I can only be honest that I won't hang around negative people, because there's everything is energy, and if you're going to be around people like that all the time, it's going to stop you from achieving what you want to achieve. You've got to be around people that do believe in you, and of course, speak if it's. I understand with family members, because I've got family members and I love them, but they all don't see the same vision as I do. Some of them do, But so family's different, but with friends, I mean, you probably find as well. I have a meetup group every Sunday, and most of the people that come to me say the same thing, that as you're becoming more consciously and living a more conscious life, friends who are on more of a negative energy, that they seem to drop out your life just quite naturally. And then you meet other friends who you're more in the same vibration, you're positive. And I think that, everything is energy. And so the more you're around that like-minded energy, the more you're going to feel more open to express. And every word you say is sending a message to the universe. Your personality creates your reality. And that's Joe Dispenza.
Yes, and you know what?
So everywhere.
I think I heard a perfect, what I'm going to take as a really good answer in there. You said something so beautifully. You said, you choose to feel. So if somebody right now is in a very difficult situation and they're not surrounded by encouraging, positive people, you know what you get to do? You, the listener, whoever you are, you get to choose to feel positive within yourself. Because as Carl said even earlier, the kingdom is within.
Yes, absolutely. I just want to share a little thing that happened to me, Lisa, like 15 years ago when I was at my lowest. I switched on an Eckhart Tolle video, and it changed my life there and then. Eckhart Tolle's wisdom, because the mind is the number one thing that can stop us creating, that ego mind.
Yes. And
if we can shift away from that, and that's how meditation helps so much too, to go within. Yeah.
I'm writing that down. I love that. I'm writing that because I wrote the mind is another one that can stop us, the ego mind. So you know what? Okay, so everybody out there, you know what? This is our big thing. We're going to surround ourselves with encouraging and positive people who believe in you, and the people who are negative will eventually just drop off, because we are choosing to feel the positive, choosing to believe in ourselves, choosing to live with love. And then if once they get there and they're like, yeah, you know what, I believe in this dream, I want it, I'm going to make believe in my mind, and I'm going to put all these things, and this can go everything from a job to a relationship, a living situation, a passion, a skill, a lifestyle, all those things. And then in your experience, Carl, when you had your shift Well, you've had a few of them, but when you had your shift and you started doing that and you started creating in the mind and making believe, what's the next thing that kind of shows up for you? What are the things that you notice changing that we can highlight to people so we can say, you know what, be aware of this, because that's your evidence, that's proof that you're doing this.
Yeah, well, the right people would just appear, or you like, I mean, what I shared before about my band and put her out there. Both next day get an email, and every day seems to be more magical. Deepak Chopra once said that when you're in line, miracles are a normal thing happening in your life. And when you start to be in line with that intention of where you're going and living in joy and inspiration, everyone you meet seems to be, how can I help you? You know, and the universe is like, how can I help you? Come on, what more do you want? And again, I think a really important thing, Lisa, there's all the things like the news. Switch the news off, because everything's energy. And I'd say our subconscious mind runs the boat. Our subconscious, which is 95%, it's not what I'm going to do that. I'm going to lose weight, and I'm going to get fit, and your subconscious is saying, no, you're not, because it's programming. And a lot of people might understand that you've been programmed, so deprogram. And there's many great things the way you can do that, because you can I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. But I also done a lot of deprogramming, you know, with. There's Psyche, there's so many healing modalities to get rid of the subconscious beliefs that we hold as true, because we download them, especially from a child. So that is really important to understand, that we can get rid of them blockages.
Love that you just said that. Okay, I have to highlight this. I'm going to really put this in perspective. What you just said is so very important to everybody to hear. In my world, maybe my language and my words have been, all right, everybody, it's safe to daydream. What do you want? What do you want to be? What do you love? But what you just said is so key. It is so important. Maybe the daydream right now for somebody listening is actually, what would my life look like if I could get rid of this lack of my self-worth? What would my life look like? Like, let's deprogram. Maybe the daydream is actually letting go of the things that are harming us. Maybe our daydream is actually letting go of the fear that we won't have enough money for the bills next month, or the fear that we won't have a home, or that we won't be loved and we won't be in a relationship, or that we won't have these things. Maybe, I love that you said that, because maybe the first step isn't to pray for the plant to grow, but maybe the first step is actually to pull the weeds out of the garden that you're planting.
And Lisa, and all it is a voice in your head. That's all it is. It's the voice in your head. Can you lower that voice down, or can you start to get rid of that voice? And know that voice is not the truth. Because the ego mind, the voice in your head, wants to stay alive. So it doesn't want you. Because if you are in the present moment, there's no problems in that present moment. But until your mind starts, but you're sitting down now, but you've got to get up and do this, because you're not going to be able to pay that bill. So it's getting rid of that voice in your head, which is like so important. And I'm not saying we can get rid of it completely, but we can lower it down. We can come in peace. And the more we practice that self-awareness, and think about what you're thinking about.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. You know,
so
I love this story. This story is a random story. Just popped into my head. My mother, she's passed now, but when she was living, that's a lot. Every day would be, I would get excited about her going to do something. She was a sick woman, so when she finally thought, I would love to do that, and I would jump up and say, yes, let's do that. And she's like, oh, why bother? You know that the neighbor or her, her own family members would say this or that. And it also reminds me of people who, like, they're just shooting herself right down immediately. And even thinking about somebody who is starting a brand new relationship, a romantic, loving relationship, but yet they're so fearful of, well, you know what, they're probably going to cheat on me, or I don't want to get hurt. You're already putting all these things in the way. And that's how daydreaming and make-believe stops. And so I love, Carl, that we've been able to have this conversation, because you are so truly, I have to say this, you just live this every day, that you are in the present moment, that you do visualize, that you do daydream, that you inspire, and that you support others. And I love that you're able to have these. And when people, if they want, I want people to go to your YouTube channel. I want them to see your videos and these interviews. If they go to the YouTube and punch in Carl Stedman, which is very important to spell your last name correctly, it's Stedmond. What are they getting in the final minute here? What are they going to see and get and feel from you? What would be your wish for them to get when they come and see those videos?
Someone with a vision who's making it happen. But could I just share one little thing, Lisa, just before we go?
Yeah.
Very quick thing. Wayne Dyer was a very good friend of Deepak Chopra. Wayne Dyer picked the phone up. He's having problems. Say to Deepak, I've got this problem. Deepak, meditate. But Deepak, I haven't even had a chance to tell you. Meditate. And he'd go on. And Deepak Chopra, no matter what your problem is, meditate and come away from the thinking mind. Very powerful.
Oh, I love that. Meditation.
But anyway, Lisa, it's been fantastic co-hosting this with you, and we are so happy that you were on the band frequency. And maybe you can tell the audience
so everybody
where
listening.
Next.
Yes, you know what? We are and actually we had Jordy on the show just a while ago, and he was talking about Woodlawn Festival. That's where we'll be playing next. But I'm going to post everything for everybody. And thank you again so much, Carl, and thank you all listeners. Keep on daydreaming.
Thank you, Lisa.
Make
Thank you, everyone.
possible. Thank you.
Lots of love and peace.